We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. Carl Jung. You ever get that feeling like you're watching your life happen? Again, different year, different person, same pain, like the universe keeps handing you the same lesson, wrapped in a new face, same outcome. You swear you've grown, you swear you're better, but here you are, in the same argument, with the same ache in your chest, repeating the same emotional mistake you promised yourself you were done with. This isn't coincidence. This is the unconscious running the show. There's a version of you beneath the surface, formed when you were small, silent, and still learning what love, safety, and identity even meant. That version of you, it doesn't disappear with age. It hides in the way you love, in the way you apologize for existing, in the way you stay quiet when you should speak up, in the way you run or chase or freeze when things get too real. That's not random. That's not weakness. That's a pattern. A survival strategy that turned into a personality. And it's why so many people, maybe including you, are living inside a loop that feels like a life. But really, it's just an echo of everything unhealed. You wake up, you try harder, you fall back in. Not because you're not smart, not because you don't care, because the pattern was there long before the awareness ever was. And most of us weren't raised to see it. We were raised to repeat it. The hidden voices inside you, how your subconscious runs your emotional replay. There's a conversation happening inside your mind right now, but it's not the one you think you're having. Beneath your conscious thoughts, beneath what you're aware of, there's a quieter, darker current pulling the strings. This is your subconscious, and it's the true director behind your emotional reruns. Imagine your brain as a theater. On stage, you're the actor, the thinker, the one trying to change the script. But behind the curtains, there's a hidden crew, old recordings, deep-rooted fears, forgotten memories, running the show. You try to say one thing, but your subconscious whispers another. It's why you find yourself stuck, time and again, in the same emotional traps. Why you get triggered before your mind even registers what's happening. This isn't just poetic. It's science. Your subconscious is like a giant hard drive filled with emotional programs, installed long before you knew what love or rejection even meant. These programs learned their script from your earliest experiences, your childhood wounds, your family dynamics, your survival mechanisms. When life throws you a situation that feels even remotely similar to something stored in that database, your brain presses play without asking for your permission. You relive the hurt, the confusion, the anger, and the cycle repeats. This is why just thinking positive or trying harder feels like banging your head against a wall. The conscious mind is trying to fix what's happening beneath the surface, but it can't control what it doesn't see or understand. Here's the secret no one tells you. Your subconscious isn't your enemy. It's your protector, operating on outdated rules that once kept you safe. But now those rules are hurting you more than helping. And the only way to rewrite them is to bring them into the light. To become curious, not fearful of those hidden voices. When you start listening, really listening, to the whispers beneath your thoughts, you begin to recognize the patterns. You can name the feelings before they flood you. You start to see how your past is sneaking into your present. And with that awareness, you reclaim power. Because the subconscious only runs the replay until you show it a new way to play the scene. You're not trapped in this emotional loop. You are the director who can rewrite the script. The inner child's silent cry, why unhealed wounds keep pulling you back. Inside each of us lives a part often forgotten. A younger version of ourselves who carries the rawest emotions, the deepest fears, and the most vulnerable wounds. This is your inner child. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most alone, scared, or unheard. That little voice inside you didn't disappear. It's still there, quietly shaping how you react, how you love, and sometimes, how you hurt. When those early wounds aren't healed, they become emotional landmines scattered across your life's path. You don't realize you're stepping on them until you're suddenly overwhelmed by feelings that seem out of proportion or triggered by something that feels familiar, yet you can't quite place. This is why breaking free from emotional patterns is so hard. You're not just breaking habits. You're trying to soothe a part of yourself that has been aching for years. And here's the truth many never tell you. The pain of the inner child isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet ache, a background hum of anxiety, loneliness, or self-doubt. It's the reason you might find yourself repeating the same toxic relationships, self-sabotaging just when things get good, or feeling unworthy of peace and happiness. Because deep down, your inner child believes that the world is unsafe, that love is conditional, or that you must always stay on guard. Healing this means stepping into that pain with compassion, not judgment. It means saying to yourself, I see you, I hear you, you are safe now. The path forward isn't about erasing the past, but about giving that child the nurturing it never got. And when you do, something shifts. The chains of old wounds loosen. Your emotional reactions start to change. You begin to make choices that honor all parts of you, the adult and the child. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. But in that acceptance lies the freedom to stop repeating the past and start writing your future." Understanding emotional repetition. We don't repeat pain because we like it. We repeat pain because part of us still believes it's home. This is what nobody tells you when your heart breaks for the third time by someone who feels eerily familiar. When you shrink yourself at work just like you did in childhood. When you over-explain your emotions to people who have no intention of understanding you. That's not a lack of strength. That's your nervous system trying to keep you alive, the way it learned to when you were too young to protect yourself. See, repetition isn't random. It's protection. If your emotional needs weren't met as a child, your brain logged that as truth. Love means waiting to be chosen. Connection means walking on eggshells. Speaking up means rejection. Safety means disappearing. You didn't learn those beliefs in a book. You learned them in rooms where you had to earn love. And now, years later, you don't choose situations that feel good. You choose what feels familiar, even if it hurts. This is why it feels like you're stuck in a cycle. Same relationship dynamic. Same abandonment wound. Same moment when everything gets too close and you sabotage it. You're not crazy. You're reenacting what your subconscious still thinks is normal. And that subconscious, it's powerful. It drives up to 95% of your emotional decisions, according to research from the University of Massachusetts. It remembers everything you lived through, even the things you've consciously forgotten. It doesn't operate on logic. It operates on survival. So when Jung said, make the unconscious conscious, he wasn't speaking in riddles. He was giving you the map out. You can't change what you haven't faced. You can't heal what you won't feel. And you won't stop repeating emotional mistakes until you stop calling them bad luck and start calling them what they are. Unresolved wounds in disguise. The root of emotional mistakes, not weakness, but programming. You were never weak. You were trained. Trained to suppress. Trained to shrink. Trained to normalize things that were never normal. And call them love. Most emotional mistakes people make as adults aren't about bad decisions. They're about old survival codes still running in a grown body. Maybe no one explained it to you, but the way you attach, the way you react, the way you fight or freeze in intimacy, it all started long before your first heartbreak. It began in the rooms where emotions were punished or ignored, in families where silence was safer than truth, where you were told to calm down when you were really crying out, where anger was called disrespect and sadness was brushed off as weakness. You learned early, don't feel too much, don't need too much, don't be too much. And now, you keep ending up in the same relationships where love feels just out of reach. You keep bending into people who can't hold you. You keep repeating the same cycles, not because you want to suffer, but because suffering was your first language. This is generational. You may be carrying pain that didn't even start with you. Psychological research shows that trauma, especially emotional trauma, can be biologically passed down through generations. It lives in the nervous system, in family dynamics, in silence. Maybe your mother couldn't give you emotional safety because no one ever gave it to her. Maybe your father didn't know how to validate your feelings because he was never allowed to have any. So you didn't just inherit genetics. You inherited coping strategies, emotional habits, patterns of disconnect that felt like protection. And now you feel stuck between who you've been and who you want to become. One foot in old wounds, one foot in the future you're trying to build. But the harder you try to move forward, the faster you're pulled back into the same emotional patterns. Same kind of partner, same arguments, same shame spiral afterward. It's like being trapped in a loop where the story always ends the same way. And you keep wondering, why do I keep writing the same ending? Because until you change the script, your nervous system will keep hiring actors that fit the original storyline. And here's the real truth most people never hear. You don't need more discipline. You need compassion for your programming. Because once you understand your emotional mistakes weren't character flaws, they were survival codes, you finally stop blaming yourself and start freeing yourself. The science behind emotional repetition. Here's something no one told you growing up. Your brain isn't wired to make you happy. It's wired to keep you safe, based on what it learned early in your life. So if love felt unpredictable back then, if closeness led to pain, if expressing your needs got you silence or shame, your brain remembers that, not as memory, as a blueprint. See, your emotional habits don't come from willpower, they come from wiring. When your brain repeats the same emotional mistake, it's not doing it out of weakness. It's doing it because of something called the default mode network, a part of your brain that activates when you're not actively focusing, when you're daydreaming, reflecting, remembering. It's like your brain's autopilot, and most of it is built from your earliest emotional experiences. A 2022 study from the National Institute of Mental Health found that the default mode network lights up more in people with unresolved emotional trauma, which means when you're relaxing, your brain is actually replaying old emotional loops. Your brain doesn't just store memories, it stores emotional imprints. So when your partner forgets to text you back, and your whole body feels like it's shutting down, that's not about a text. That's your nervous system echoing a time when absence meant abandonment. When someone criticizes you gently and you spiral into self-doubt, that's your brain reliving a moment when correction felt like rejection. And it gets even deeper. There's a part of your brain called the amygdala, the emotional smoke detector. Its job is to scan your environment for danger. But when you've experienced emotional pain repeatedly, your amygdala becomes hypersensitive. It can't tell the difference between a real threat and a remembered one. That's why you overreact, why you shut down, why you freeze when someone raises their voice, even slightly. It's not just how you are, it's how you were wired to survive. And here's the wild part. Your brain can't unlearn this through logic. You can't outthink pain that lives in your body. You feel your way through it. That's why awareness alone doesn't heal you. Knowing the pattern isn't enough. You have to rewire it, moment by moment, by making new emotional choices while your nervous system is still screaming the old ones. But the fact that your brain is wired this way also means something hopeful can be rewired. The same way your brain learned fear, confusion, shame, can learn clarity, safety, connection. Takes time, but it's possible. Because neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself, is real. And it doesn't stop in childhood. Every time you pause instead of reacting, every time you speak the truth instead of hiding it, every time you choose someone safe instead of someone familiar, you are literally rewriting the emotional code. Embrace awareness, the real first step. Awareness isn't reading another quote and nodding. Awareness is when your body flinches at the same old situation. But you don't run from it this time. You stay. You breathe. You choose differently, even while your old wiring screams at you to go back. That's not an idea. That's a practice. That's where the shift begins. You can binge every psychology book on trauma, memorize every Jung quote, and analyze your inner child to death. But until you bring that awareness into your relationships, your boundaries, your behaviors, it stays trapped in your head. Insight without integration is just intellectual self-soothing. And a lot of people are doing that, thinking about healing instead of actually feeling through it. Real awareness, it hits when you recognize your emotional patterns in real time. It's when your partner goes silent, and you catch the old panic crawling up your spine. And instead of over-explaining or begging for connection, you sit in that discomfort and whisper, "This is where I used to abandon myself. I won't this time." That's the real work. That's emotional sobriety. That's where healing starts to live in your nervous system, not just in your notes app. Carl Jung never promised healing would feel good. He said it would feel true, because truth, at first, isn't soothing. It's uncomfortable. It strips away all the coping strategies, all the masks, all the false stories we told ourselves to survive. But on the other side of that honesty is freedom. The freedom to stop reacting, to stop repeating, to stop betraying yourself for the sake of keeping the peace. So no, awareness isn't the finish line. It's the doorway, the moment you stop pointing fingers and start holding the pattern in your own hands. Not with blame, with compassion, with curiosity, with the strength to ask, what happens if I don't abandon myself this time? That's how you start walking out of the loop. One conscious choice at a time, how to break the cycle, step by step. You can't heal in theory. You heal in practice. In the middle of the storm, in the middle of the trigger, in the moment where every cell in your body wants to do what it's always done and you don't. That's the work. And here's where it begins. Step 1. Spot the emotional trigger before it becomes a reaction. Triggers don't come with labels. They come with familiar feelings. You feel ignored, and suddenly you're 8 years old again, invisible in your own home. You feel criticized, and suddenly your chest tightens like it did when love always came with disapproval. You feel misunderstood, and the shame spiral kicks in before your brain even catches up. Before you try to fix, explain, or escape, pause. Name it. This feels like rejection. This feels like abandonment. This feels like I'm not enough. That 1 second of naming creates space. And that space, that's where freedom lives. Step 2. Stop taking orders from the inner critic. You know that voice, the one that whispers, "You're too much. You're not good enough. You always ruin it." That's not your truth. That's your wound talking. And here's the thing about the inner critic. It was born to protect you, to keep you small so you wouldn't get hurt. But now it's keeping you small, so you can't grow. Next time it shows up, don't argue with it. Don't believe it either. Just notice it and respond with what it never got. I hear you, but we're safe now. This isn't toxic positivity. This is reparenting. Because the healing voice won't come from outside you. It has to be built inside you. Step 3, ground yourself in the now, rewire through ritual, not reaction. You don't break a lifelong emotional pattern with willpower. You break it by anchoring yourself to the present moment so you stop reacting from the past. That starts with rituals that rewire your nervous system. We're not talking about journaling your way out of abandonment. We're talking about training your body to believe you're safe now. Here's what actually works. A nervous system resets, breath work, cold water, walking barefoot, somatic shaking. These aren't wellness trends. These are tools that signal to your brain, we're not in danger anymore. That's where emotional regulation starts, in the body. Micro moments of mindfulness, 60 seconds. No phone, no distraction, just feeling your breath, naming what you feel, placing a hand on your chest when the trigger hits. Sounds simple, but it reprograms the default mode network, rewiring what your brain does when it's quiet. A safe relationship reps. Practice emotional safety with someone who doesn't activate your survival instincts. A therapist, a grounded friend, even a voice note to yourself. When you're mirrored in calm, your system starts to learn that calm is safe, not boring. Embodied boundaries. Saying no isn't just language. It's a physical decision. Shoulders back, steady tone. Full breath. Your body remembers when no wasn't allowed. Reclaiming it teaches you that self-respect is no longer dangerous. This is what changes things. Because the body doesn't heal from thinking. It heals from experiencing something different and surviving it. And every time you choose a new ritual over the old reaction, you tell your body, we don't have to go back there again. Take a breath for a second. You've been holding a lot. Some of this might have stirred something in you. Maybe a memory, maybe a truth you weren't ready to face until now. That's okay. That means you're feeling. And feeling is where healing begins. Wherever you are right now, in your car, on your couch, walking alone at night, why you deserve peace. You deserve peace. Not someday. Not if you fix everything perfectly. Right now, the part of you that's been hurt, the inner child still carrying those wounds, is not broken or flawed. That child is waiting for you to come back. To hold them, to tell them they are safe, to show them love the way no one did before. Healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about reclaiming your story, owning your worth not because of what you do or achieve but because you are. Every time you choose to stop repeating old emotional mistakes, you're telling your nervous system, I am safe. I am worthy. I am free. That freedom is yours to claim. Carl Jung said it best. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Let that sink in. You are not your past pain. You are the conscious choice, the brave decision to break the cycle and live on your terms. So, when the old patterns try to pull you back, remember this moment. Remember you're walking a path of courage, compassion, and truth. And you're not walking it alone. You deserve peace. You deserve love. You deserve you. Thank you for trusting me with this journey today. Until next time, be gentle with yourself.